Welcome everyone. Welcome to our Ready, Set, Smart webinar series. This is our weekly series where we're talking about how smart solutions can enhance your teaching and learning. Our session today, right now, covers Beyond the Basics of Smart Notebook. So thanks for joining us. We're featuring Terry Politi, a training specialist from Maryland, and my name's Beth Galanti. I'm a PD specialist. I'm located in Michigan, and I'm going to be here to answer all of your questions in the chat while Terry's going through her awesome notebook skills.
Well, thank you, Beth, and welcome everyone. Today, my objective is really to show you some of the power and potential of Notebook. I absolutely love Smart Notebook, been using it for a long time. And then I'm going to show you not only that, but how you can share it in SLSO so that the students that have Chromebooks can be engaging in it at the same time also. So what I'm presenting to you right now is in SLSO, but I'm going to flip back and forth between the two of them so that you can see how they navigate. So if there is nothing else, let me first start with, sorry guys, Smart Notebook is the software that runs on a laptop that you can do a lot of powerful things on. So that's what I'm going to be flipping back and forth in. So you'll see me sometimes today where I'm in Notebook working, where it's all kind of gray. And then when I'm in the one that has black on the edges, that's the Smart Learning Suite, just so that you can see the two and how I created a Notebook and then sent to Smart Learning Suite is how we're going to end. So it'll give you a good idea of what we're looking for. So the very first one I want to show you is, this is something that I created in Notebook. It is just a graphic organizer like any of you that you picked. And all I can do now is I can hand it out to my class in SLSO, and they can say what character they're working on. Oh, I'm working on Anne Frank. And they can put it in just like they would on any graphic organizer. And now I can say the trait I'm looking for is a brave trait. And then I would have to, as the student, find an example to put down here. And then all of my kids could be using this. I could either make it in small groups, and they could each do a trait and each do a quote and work in a small group in a collaborative workspace. Or I could do it as a handout where every kid could get their own. But I also know I have kids with special needs that may need something a little less. It might be too much for them. And in their IEP, it says they can have less. So I'm going to show you both routes first. So let me go over to Notebook and show you how I made it. So in Notebook, here it is right here. Literally, it's a series of boxes and text boxes and errors. So that's pretty easy. You'll see that I've locked it. So when I send it to SLSO, so in the top right-hand corner, you'll see this little lock box. I'm going to unlock it right now so you can see everything moves together. Okay. Now I also know, because I made this, that I grouped it all together so that everything moves together. So I'm also going to go to that drop down menu, and I know it's small for you all, but you can ungroup stuff, and then you'll see all the bits and pieces that I have. So now I'm going to start with that special ed example first. Okay. So for the special ed example, let's say I'm going to get rid of, and all I'm doing is highlighting the things I'm going to get rid of, and I'm going to hit delete. And now I can make my own special ed version. I'm going to bring this up to the top. And I'm going to make some of these boxes just a little bigger for my special ed kiddos so that they'll be able to work together. So let me just pull some of these down. And you'll notice very quickly how easy this is to maneuver. And if I wanted to make a box from start, I could easily just grab the tools along the top here. Here's my rectangle. And I could easily grab a rectangle tool and create one. That's as easy as it is. But instead of creating today, I am just going to stretch these out a little bit so that they're bigger for the kids to write in, for my special ed kids to write in anyway. So let me make this a little bit bigger. There it is. I do have a thing for symmetry. I don't know if the rest of you do. It might just be a math thing. So a lot of times after I stretch something out, I just duplicate it so I make sure that it is on the same thing. Now to duplicate anything, you can use the drop down menu, and I'll use that on this one so you can see what I did. Okay, I'm going to use the drop down menu, and there you have make a copy. So it makes its own copy, or I can duplicate. You have a lot of different choices here. I tend to use Command D to clone, because that way it just puts it on the page and I can see it. And now I've made it bigger for my kiddos to be able to see. Okay, so now I've made this for special ed. My special ed kids, I can use it with either group. But here's the power of using it in Notebook. Okay, I've made it all. I'm going to select everything. I'm going to group it together if you want to, or if I want to edit it in SLSO, I don't group it together. So it depends on what you want to do. I am going to lock it. Okay, lock it in place. So the kids can't move anything on the graphic organizer. Oops, I made a little mistake, Beth. I'm going to leave that there though. See, my arrow kind of went lower. But here's what I'm going to do.
No worries, Terry. We're loving your shortcuts.
I know I'm going to use this again with other classes. So instead of rebuilding this every time, I'm going to come over to the slide. It'll be small, but underneath the slide, it says character description. That's what this says in the little blue highlight over here. I'm going to add SE behind it for special ed version of that. Okay. And now I'm going to show you my gallery. So I use graphic organizers all the time and I share them with kids all the time. So I've made this gallery. It's got 37 different things in it right now. But so I've selected the gallery. I'm going to go back over to that slide protector or that slideshow. I'm going to use the drop down and say add to gallery. Okay. All that did on my version, on my software that stays with my machine, is I will now have this as a version to be able to throw in whenever I want to. So you'll be able to notice everything that's in here is stuff that I put in there the exact same way. And I can always come back to any of these versions that I want. And they will literally be sitting in there just for me to take. So if I want that character ed again, I just click here. That means if I open a new file tomorrow and just come over here to my graphic organizers and look for character description SE, it's there for me to use over and over again. Okay, it's an awesome feature to be able to use. So there is my graphic organizer for them that I can make. And then I'll show you at the end how to upload it to Smart Learning Suite. So I can easily upload it to Smart Learning Suite like I did this one. So you'll take a look, and this is not the special ed one, it's the regular one, but I can share them the same way, literally on the fly. I can come in here and make it a handout. Each person gets their own copy, or a collaborative workspace. And one of the things I like to do when I'm working with kids is I like to have a version that I've put up there that they can come back and see. So they can come back and see my Anne Frank example. Okay. And then I like to have another version that they can type on themselves. So if they have questions, they can always go back and look on my work. That's one of the reasons I like Notebook, is when I am in Notebook, if I need two of the same slide, literally on the same drop down arrow where I added to the gallery, I can also clone this page right here and get 2 copies of it in the same file. So when I upload it, I can have as many copies of that file as I want. So most of the time when I'm making something like this, I want 2 copies. One copy that I write on as the teacher that they can always go back and look on. So when I'm in SLSO, there is a teacher copy, but they can't go back when it's asynchronous and look at that. So I put 2 copies in, one where I write on they don't touch, and then they could always go back and look at my example. And then the second one is for them to work on themselves. Okay. So that's one way I like to use Smart Learning Suite with graphic organizers. So it's an easy thing if you use graphic organizers all the time to create them, put them in your gallery, and then you can pull them out whenever you want to. So Beth and I were talking a little bit earlier, and I have some math graphic organizers because I'm just that geeky that kind of do math things. Or I use a Fryer model. So you can put any graphic organizer in you want. So I'm going to take off of the graphic organizers for a little bit, go for a little different track just to give you some ideas. Another graphic organizer I could use would be a Venn diagram. So yes, I can build this in Smart Learning Suite Online. I can also build it in Notebook. But one of the things I like about building it in Notebook is all of the things down here that are movable. And I'm just moving them and talking, guys. I'm not paying attention. Well, I am a math teacher, so I could get them wrong anyway, just so you know. But the kids can't delete these because in Notebook, there are several different types of lock. One of them is lock and allow to move. So I made all my words lock and allow to move, so the kids will not be able to resize them. They'll not be able to delete them off the page. They'll have to put everything that's on the page there. So it's just one of the reasons I like using it. The other reason I like using it, same type of example, but now I've used a math example, okay? Oh, square root of 2, that's not a perfect square. Square root of b, well, I don't know what b is, so I'm gonna put that, it could be either until I know what b is. Square root of 36 is over here. So in Smart Notebook, I can build with equation editors and do the same thing. So it has some very good math properties. So let me take you back over to Notebook and show you how I built this. And I know it's going to be fast, and there will be a recording of this. That's one good thing. So you can always come back and pause me, because I can talk really fast, but you can come back and pause me as it goes. But it gives you some ideas. So here are the two that I built inside a notebook. Okay. I'm just going to build one of them right now to give you an idea of it. So let me add another page. I'm looking for a Venn diagram. Oh yeah, I could use my shapes and build it, but I could also use that gallery. It's got a ton of stuff in it. So I'm just going to type in the search up here, Venn diagram. And it's going to give me everything that's inside of my gallery for a Venn diagram. And it's being slow today, Beth. That's going to be the way my day is.
Always is, right?
Always is. Yep. All right, let's see if I can find any Venn diagram stuff. It's not going to find it today. All right, I'm going to make the circles. Go tell you what I wasn't going to do.
Where are you?
Let me make the circles. Okay, I am going to fill one in. Let's do the fill with a pink. And then I'm going to duplicate that. Remember, I can use the drop down. I tend to use the key controls. And then I'm going to make this one blue. And then I am going to make it so that they are kind of see-through. So you can make it as much opaque or opacity as you want. And then you have kind of like a Venn diagram going on there. I think I want this one on top. I like the lighter color on top. One of the other things I can do is bring to the front, and you get that Venn diagram feeling. But let me just kind of slide that to the side right now. Of course, don't forget, whatever you do, make sure you lock it, because if you don't lock it, the kids will be able to move it. So make sure you lock it. And then let me add an equation one first, just to give you an idea. So to add an equation, you're going to come up to the puzzle piece that is on the top gray bar. So I'm going to click on that puzzle piece. I am going to click on the insert equation. There's two of them. One is if I'm on the board and I'm writing. The other one is when I'm sitting at my desk, which I'm currently doing. It brings up my equation editor. So if I want the square root of 2, I literally pick out whatever one I'm working on here. Square root of 2, insert. There's the square root of 2. That might be a little big. So just like everything else, you can resize it by the button that's in the bottom right-hand corner. And then because I cheat all the time, I'm just going to keep hitting duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. So there's a whole bunch of them for me. And then I just click on one to change it. So let's make this one the square root of 36. Let's make this one a squared. So just like any equation editor, if you're a math person you've ever used, works the same way. So
Terry, you did control D for duplicate.
Yes, or I'm on a Mac, it can be Command D. Any of those Ds work. And if you want to know what the keystrokes are, guys, on the drop-down menu next to it, it's grayed out over here, but it'll tell you what it is. So on the PC side, you can see I'm on a Mac today because that's the Command key. But if you're on the Windows one, it'll say Control and D, so you know what all the shortcuts are. Okay. All right. I'm going to, I want to lock these and allow to move, Beth. And I'm going to do it in one fell swoop because I am lazy. If I can do it in shortcuts, I do. So I grab them all, grab the drop down of just one of them, and there's a lock and allow to move. So now I can't delete it. I can't change it, but I can move it. And the same property will hold true when I take it into Smart Learning Suite Online. So those examples I just showed you, they can't delete these. They can't make them bigger. The only thing they can do is sort them.
Yeah, that's an important last step is the type of lock, because they can resize them, spin them, and even duplicate them just like you did. So allowing them to move them and sort them without messing too much with them.
Correct. Well, and for me, I want them in like a breakout room or in a collaborative group, and I want them discussing where they're putting these stuff so they kind of get them right. And I don't want them getting distracted by anything else they can do. So the only thing they can do on here is slide them. And as long as I've locked everything else, I can't move like this. You can tell, even though it has the same square around it that this does, I can't move it because I locked it. Where this I locked and allowed to move. All right. So that's just kind of an example of locking. We're going to look at one more type of example of locking because I absolutely love that feature that you can do all different types in Notebook and then move it to SLSO and it works. So here's just a measurement example. So I want to measure the pencil. And you'll notice the pencil is locked. No matter what I do, I can't move this. Okay, but when I click on the ruler, okay, I can move this. I can't make it bigger or smaller, but I can rotate it and move it. So I'm going to rotate it a little bit. I'm going to drag it over by my pencil. I'm going to rotate it just a tad bit more so it's right next to my pencil. There we go. And now you can have the students do measurement without even giving them the tools if they have a Chromebook or they're at home, any of those type of things. So this is 4.5 inches, and I know it's going to be 4.5 inches for everybody. Now, if I were truly giving this like a worksheet, I would have had typed up here in this top button, and I'm just going to scribble right now, question that said, how long is the pencil? And they would all just put an answer right there of how long the pencil is, and they'd all be the same. Same thing holds with the protractor. Okay, I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to bring it down. Oh, I see it's 55 degrees. And the same thing holds for the ruler. I locked and it allowed to, and this time I allowed these to rotate, not just move, but rotate. And I'll show you that example over on Notebook here. So let me come over here and look back at the Notebook file. And when I take a look at the Notebook file, oops, I went back too far. Let me take a look at the Notebook file. And here's what it looks like in Notebook. Let me show you how I built this. I just looked for pictures that I wanted to measure. A lot of times you can find engaging pictures, like if your kids are into SpongeBob, put a SpongeBob picture in there. If they're into something else, put whatever else you want in there. Then I locked it. Same thing here, I drew it and locked it. And then I put these two tools in. They're not interactives, they're just the pictures. And then I just made them lock and allow to move. So let's build that one real quick. Let me hit the plus sign. So I am going to use back over here with my gallery. Let's see if it's working any better this time. Still not finding anything, Beth. I'm just going looking for pictures this time. Let's look for something here. There we go. I can look for that's a good one. There we go. I'm going to ask for the side of this, how long the sides are. Okay, so you can put in any picture you want. You can also, by the way, come out here and go to the internet if you need to and do an internet search. So you don't have to rely on what's in Notebook itself. This picture was in Notebook, but if I come over here and type in the pencil here, there's a pencil. Oh, that's even a short little pencil. Let's use that. Oops, it looks a lot longer when I brought it in. I better make that a little smaller. All right, I'm going to stick with the pencil.
Realistically, I mean, they never stick. They're always little.
There we go. There's my little golf pencil. All right, so I have a pencil, and now I need the ruler. So I'm going to go back over the gallery, and I'm going to look into my math tools. Something really funky, Beth, is happening. There we go.
No, what's going on with your gallery over there?
It is the way it is.
Yeah, it's just loaded with all these images and templates already in backgrounds. And then, of course, you can do series workaround, right, that you can image search in the add-ons.
So I am going to look in the math tools because that's where the ruler should be, at least in my own mind, for it. My own mind might not be working well. There's a lot of money in there. There's a lot of stuff in here that's already pre-done for us, Beth.
Right. Where are you, ruler?
I don't know.
It gives us a nice chance to look at everything that there is.
There's a lot in here. Tools. That would have been
So
the
if there's
smartest way to do
if you,
first.
yeah, and if you did find something that you were, using all the time, like maybe you were using one of those coins all the time, or the thermometer or the ruler, you could also save that to yours so that you didn't have to search for it every time.
Yep. All right, so I am making the ruler the size that I want it. Okay, so you can make it smaller or bigger when you start. Okay, I'm going to make it the size I want it. And now I'm going back to the lock. And this time I'm going to do lock, allow to move and rotate. So what it allows me to do is that ruler now can move, and it can also spin. So that's how I was able to measure things that aren't like right underneath of it. And I can keep measuring things. So a lot of times I will give them one of these and have them measure a whole bunch of things, and then just have them put the answers down so that I only have to put the ruler in once. But that's exactly how I made that. Let me show you how I made the angle. Literally, I grabbed the tool up here. That's my line tool. I'm going to drag or draw my rays. They're a little bit thin. Some of my kids like little thicker lines, so I'm just selecting them, and I'm going to make them a little thicker. All right. Now, the only thing I'm going to do is lock them so that the kids can't move them. Okay. So let me just grab one of them and do a lock. And so now it's locked in place. And then I need my protractor. Notice I am not taking the interactive one. There is an interactive one. I'm just using the picture one because that will be exactly what works. Okay. And a lot of times I will start with my tools, and I could literally make a tools page if I wanted to, and then put the things underneath of it I want, so I could save it into my gallery as a template for measurement, and it would all be ready then. But then I just shipped it up to the online version, and it was good to go. So that's another one of the tools that you can use, is a lock and allow to move and rotate. So just one more time, taking a look at those locks before we leave. There's lock in place, which is what most people do. A lock and allow vertically, a lock and allow horizontal movement. I use those for sliders. So anything I need with a slider, I will use the horizontal and the vertical. Lock and allow to move is they can move it anywhere, they can't spin it at all, and then lock and allow to move and rotate. So that gives you the different types of locking that there is. So those are cool tools that I really like. Now I'm going to talk about a different topic. So when we talked about Beyond the Beginners, I knew there was a lot of stuff, so I wanted to give you all different types of ideas that were there. This one is with layering and really order. So this is my function machine.
Love
and I'm
it.
going to
Love this
drag
one.
through. Go ahead, Beth. What'd you say?
I love this one. I love this one.
I'm going to drag the 3 through the function machine, and it comes out to be a 5. Ooh, let me see. I'm going to drag the 6 in, and it comes out to be an 8. Beth, I think every time it adds 2. So if that's right, if I drag the 7 through, it's going to be a 9. So that is my function machine. Beth, can you think of other ways we might be able to use the function machine instead of calling it a function machine, maybe some kind of language machine?
Absolutely. So I would probably do like have different words up here and like different endings, like way to make plural, like maybe drop the Y and add IES. And so they'll drag the singular in here and it'll come out plural and just all kinds of things.
Awesome. Awesome.
Oh, synonym antonym from the chat. Yvonne,
yeah, synonym antonym, all perfect things. Foreign language, you can use it for English and Spanish. I mean, there's all different ideas you can use in here. Now, how I made this. It's really just, think about this. Made a purple rectangle, made a green rectangle. I put in some things. I'm going to go back over and look at the notebook version of it so you can see how I actually made it, to give you some cool ideas of things you can do. So if I double click in this 4, where the 4 is, it's one big text box, and you'll notice the 4 and the 6 is there. The 4 is in green and the 6 is in purple. So if I drag this down, you'll be able to see half and half in that little area right there. So what it really is a text box where one melds with the top and one melds with the bottom, so you don't see them. So it's kind of like magic. Oh, I like people are still giving us idea. Verb tenses. There we go. Yeah.
No, and it seems so complicated, but it's just not. And it's cool.
It's very easy. All right. Now, one of the other things I'm going to show you that I do like to do with my own class is I'm going to get rid of that. You can put anything you want here to drag it through. It can be the magic square. It can be whatever you want to do. But and Beth was unknowing, just so that you know. I took a picture of Beth very quickly. And
I saw you.
You saw me? All right.
I saw you.
And so I can put Beth's picture
Not
here.
cool.
Move it to the top, lock it, and now it's what happens when it goes through Beth's head. And I've done this with a lot of 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade classrooms where we take a picture of every kid and we have different function machines. What happens when it goes through Isaac's hand? What happens when it goes through? So you get to pick all different things, and it doesn't really mean anything because it's pre-set up, but it gives them some onus. Ooh, I add 2 every time. Ooh, I multiply by 3 every time. So it gives you some other ideas as to what it can be. But then all I do is take it up to the SLSO and every kid can see it if they need to. The big key here, guys, is ordering and colors, okay? So I need to make sure that Beth, when I order it, is on top, which she is, because it won't let me. So let me send it to the back. Oh, now I can't even see it because she's behind something else. But what I want to do is make sure for order that I bring it to the front so that when I drag whatever it is behind it, it goes behind her. So then it looks like it's actually spitting something else kind of cool out. So it's really just done with what I call smoke and mirrors, which is layering and colors. And there's a lot you can do with that. And Beth and I were having a sidebar conversation. I could probably do a whole hour just on layers and colors of things you could do in there, but it gives you a basic idea of some of the things that could happen. Okay. All right. The last one I want to end up with is looking at ones that I want to duplicate, but I also want to be able to use manipulatives for. So this is really easy to make in Notebook. It's a lot harder to make in SLSO, and it's very easy for me to duplicate. And it was funny when I brought this up before, Beth looked at it, and I'm calling these my algebra tools. Beth, what did you call these tools on the right-hand side here?
These are base 10 blocks for place value. It's my primary teacher coming out, right? Like
primary teacher, I'm using them for Algebra 1. There's a lot of things. So what I want you to take away from this as I show you how to use these tools is you can have any tool you want, any manipulative you want. You can make it into its own activity. I'm going to show you what it looks like on SLSO first, and then I'll come back over here and do the build part. So let me come back over here to SLSO. Remember, this is what the kids would be able to do if they needed to. I'm going to ask them to build x squared plus 5x plus 6. And Beth is going to tell you what the answer is in base 10 blocks when we're all done. So I'm going to take an x squared. There's my hundredths block. And now I need 5 x's. These are all x blocks for those of you who've been away from Algebra 1 for a little while. So there's one. There's another one. And when I'm with kids, I usually place them a little bit better. But when I'm talking and trying to do a couple other things, it makes it a little hard. So I now have 5 of them. And now I need my 6 blocks. 1. All right. So now I have my square. And I have my 5 x's, I have my 6 ones, and I have my x squared or hundredths block. Okay. When you take a look at that, going down this side right here, that's an x. And then this is a 2. So really all together, this is x plus 2. So that length is x plus 2. Okay.
I mean, is anyone else like getting super bitter here that Terry was not their high school math teacher? Like, this is amazing. I love learning from Terry. This is great. This visual representations with all this stuff right here in Notebook.
And this side right here is x plus 3. And I write better when I'm on the board, but I'm using a mouse today. So it's what you got. So really, x squared plus 5x plus 6 is really this times this. That's how you do, and you probably didn't even realize it if you learned how to do the FOIL or the call method. There's a whole bunch of different ones. So let me take a look if it matches my right answer. Yes, it does. And you can do the same thing. This is just a box. So I'm going to show you how I built this on the other side to give you an easy idea. And once you build this, I save it as a template, and then I can just put whatever equation I want at the top, and I'm good to go. So let me come back over here. Okay, let's say this is my template. Okay, I'm just going to duplicate the page real fast so that I have it. So now I have two of them, and the only reason you can tell I have two of them is because I'm toggling back and forth. But how I created this is really just an image, and literally I took these with my phone years ago because I needed them to show kids what they had in front of them on the desk. I didn't have SLSO at the time. It wasn't around yet, but I could make these. So I put these over here, the tools that I need. And by the way, I did see one math teacher here. So if I'm using negatives, I usually have minus of these also, so that I have a red coloring too. But I put them over here, and I did the drop-down menu. And one of the things in the drop-down menu is an infinite cloner. So these now on that side are now an infinite cloner. Now this one is too. There's an infinite number of them there. So all I did was take a picture, put it on on my computer, and then drag it in here. And then now I made each of the pictures an infinite cloner. So then once I'm done with that, then I come up here and I write the equation that I want to write. So if I have a new example, let's say I want to make, this is 25. Oh no, that'd be 10. Let me do my math in my head correctly, even when I told you I was a math teacher. So let's make this 10 and make it 25. So this is my new example for kids to be able to work on. I'm just going to update it. It updates that. And I can come under here. And I can come under here. Oops, I locked it so the kids couldn't move it on the other side. Double click on it and let me change my answer now over here to the real answer. And now I have another page for them to do, or another practice one, or the first one is the one I'm going to do to show them. And then this one is the one that they get to do. So let me just lock that again so that they can't move it. And now my box is a little bit too short. Let me make that a little bigger. There we go. So I can use the same thing over and over again. Remember, as long as I come over here and add the page to the gallery, the key I want you to tell you to add paging to the gallery, the templates you want to use over and over again, is the naming convention. So however you're going to search for it, make sure it's named that way, because that's exactly how you'll be able to search for it. Or I can add it to folders if I want to. Remember, to add it to a folder, I literally just come up to the My Content area. You can add a folder up here. So the My Content is yours. You can add a new folder, and I'll just call one right now AA Junk, so that I know that's where I am. It's in my folder I just created. So maybe it's all of your stuff, your algebra tools. You make a folder for your algebra tools, or you make a folder for your reading tools, however you want to do that. It's selected. I come back over here. I grab this, say add page to gallery. And now in my gallery, in the AA tools, is that page right there. So I can come back to it whenever I need to and just add it into a file, because it's part of my software now. It's on this computer as part of my software, which is really one of the cool things to do. So you can do a lot of pieces with that, just to kind of give you an idea of what comes up. I do have a lot of galleries, and Beth will give you one at the end if you want, because I have the whole one with the graphic organizers in it. So if you're a graphic organizers person, we have that link that you can download, and you double click to make a one to share with somebody. You make the folder just like I did. Drop down menu says export collection to file. And then you can share it with everybody in your building, all the rest of the 6th grade teachers, all the rest of the whatever, and share the content, and then everybody can use it as they make it. And then once you make it, you literally just double click on it on the computer that has Notebook. Notebook will open. And when you look at the My Content now, you will have stuff in your My Content. I have lots of stuff, but those are all things that I've made and used because it was such a cool feature that I'd never found any other place. You know, I've never tried, so let's try that right now. Sorry, I saw that come in. Nobody's ever asked that.
No, I was just thinking the same thing. Wow.
So if I want to bulk add images, if I can drag them over here to AA, yep, I can bulk add images. Look at that, Sherry. You asked me a question I didn't know, and you can do it. Awesome. I like that answer. All right, I'm going to get to that. Don't worry, Linda. I'm going to get to how to upload to the SLSO. That's my end piece. The last one I just want to show you, I'm just going to show you quickly a notebook because I realized this was kind of like an algebra kind of question. But you can do the same thing with just like if I'm teaching kindergarten with how do I represent the number 6? So now I have these and they can pull them out and represent the number 6 and I can see everybody's, whether it's here or whether it's in SLSO. And if I make this a handout, I can tell you every kid knows how to make the number 6. I should have made a lower number. But the cool part inside of Notebook is very easily, I can think about how I made this, guys. Boxes, rectangles, however you want to make this, it's up to you. I put 2 circles in and colored them, kind of like I did with the Venn diagram. I made them infinite cloners. And now I can make this a template that I can bring out anytime I want to. And literally in a template, I would literally just change this 6 to a 5. And now the next one they have to do is make 5 and so forth and so on. The same thing why I add 2 colors is because a lot of times I'll use this for middle school math with integers and they have to add and subtract integers and they can actually do the same thing and then cross out the ones that match. And I'll even go up to a bigger block if I need to. But it gives you some ideas. All right. And now on to the last question. How do I get this all into Smart Learning Suite? If you're using the newest version of Notebook, the easiest way to share this up is to come over. So I'm in Notebook. I'm going to go up to the word file in the top left-hand corner. I realize it's small, so I'm kind of like showing you and telling you at the same time. It's kind of where you save it. But there is a share button right there. So when I click on share, a pop-up menu is going to come up. And it's going to say upload it to my Smart account. So whatever account you're using with Smart, it's going to upload it to the online version of Smart. Okay. I've cheated just so I knew this might take a little bit of time because I have a lot of stuff in this file, but it just uploaded it right now. So now I'm going to go on to the web version and kind of take a look at it from there. So let me come over here. So on the web version, you're going to suite, SUITE, .smarttech.com and it will bring you here, suite.smarttech.com. Literally, when you upload one, it will show up right here the day you uploaded it because it's today's date. And now I can either go in and edit stuff. Okay, so I can come in here to any of the things, like let's take a look at the graphic, no, let's not take a look at the graphic. Let's take a look at this. So any of these here, I could unlock them. Or maybe I want the angle to be a little different. I might unlock this, make the angle a little different. Or everybody knew what the pencil length was going to be. Let me unlock it. Let me shrink it up a little bit. Okay, I really want it to be like on the inch because I'm not teaching 1/2 inches yet. So let me make that 3 inches and then I'm going to lock it again. So now when they see it and have to measure it, it's now 3 inches. So I can unlock, lock that way, hit finish editing. And now when I'm over here, if I want to share it asynchronously, I can do a share link, share it asynchronously. And this is very fast. And we're going to show you at the end where you can watch some other webinars if you haven't dealt with some of the other SLSO activities. But if I want it to be asynchronous for the kids, I just give them the share access link in my learning management class, whether it's Canvas or Google Classroom or Teams. Or if I want to share it with a teacher, they get their own copy. I can share it here. Or if I want them to be synchronously with me online at the same time, I'm just going to hit start and I'll ask them all to join my classroom. Hey, everybody, go to hellosmart.com, put in my code, join my classroom, and live, they would all be able to see it at the same time with me. And then they could manipulate each page as they needed to. If you don't have the latest version of Notebook and you have Smart Learning Suite online, you can always just go to suite.smarttech.com. Let me go back to my library and I can add an activity here and I can come here. And one of the very first choices is import a resource. So you could technically start off with stuff that your curriculum already has. For me, it's a notebook file. So I'm going to import it. It's sitting on my desktop right now. So I'm just going to go to my device and I just click upload and it will literally upload that content. So that's another way to get it into your suite.smarttech.com. And if you're a Google user, there's a whole bunch of ways for that. And in some of the resources at the end, we'll be able to put those up there. Now, Beth, what did I forget? What I forgot is you're muted, Beth.
Of course, right? There's always once in every session.
Yep.
So let's take a look at the challenge first, so we can kind of, with all that good information, kind of see some ideas of where we can move toward next.
So one of the things I'd love you to do is to try, when you're on your own, is to try saving a page to your gallery. Should have probably added to your gallery, but I want to try. I mean, obviously you can save a file, but can you save a page to your gallery? If you are a math person, I would love for you to add an equation, if you've never added an equation, into something that you're not used to. And then finally, I'd love to challenge you by trying to lock with different types. What can you do with each type of locking? For me, I love having this discussion with people because they're like, "Oh, I never thought of that." And I'm like, "I didn't either." And it was just like the same question, whoever asked it about adding more items than once. I never thought about it because nobody asked me that before. So having those discussions is awesome. So talk with your colleagues, see if there's different ways you can type or lock that will really mean something once you bring it into SLSO, because all the types of locking that you can do in Notebook work in SLSO. All right, are we ready for resources, Beth?
Yes, absolutely. So we have some resources for you. And I know this looks like a lot on this page, but we have so many good resources for you. So I'm going to, Terry, if you want to show that slide, I'm actually going to provide you with the link to this slide that has all of these resources as clickable things, right? So we have a couple of teacher guides, more information on how we integrate with other products that you're using. And we also have links to webinars that are going to be coming up, and future webinars that you can register for. So you would just click on that number 5 box right there. We also have a link to join our global community of smart ambassadors, right? So you don't have to be an expert at everything like Terry, but you do have to be an enthusiast about smart and enjoy learning from other educators. So in the chat right now is the link to this resource page that you can pull up. And since we referenced a few other webinars, I'm also going to put a link where you can watch some of our previous webinars that have happened and get some other training. And that is coming up in the chat right now. So if you click on that, you'll be able to scroll through what Terry's showing right now about some previous webinars that we've referenced on maybe a more basic version of Notebook, or getting started with our Smart Learning Suite Online. We do have a webinar coming up next week that's going to be fabulous about students collaborating inside Smart Learning Suite Online and those workspaces that someone was asking about in the chat. And
any training you want to look at or know that's coming up, guys, when you're in Smart Learning Suite Online, if you click on training, it will take you right to the webinars one. Well, there is asynchronous training here if you want it. But if you click on the webinars here, it will show you what's coming up. So for instance, one of the ones coming up is right here, how to create collaborative experiences. So they'll talk about things that you could have created in Notebook or in SLSO, but then how do I use them in a collaborative workspace online? So that one is April 21st. I highly suggest it, recommend that one.
Right, so now I'm placing a link to a brief survey where you can get that feedback, give us some feedback. That would be really helpful for us in providing this content for you, but also get your certificate for joining today. And that would be that last link in the chat to that survey. And then when you complete the survey, it'll give you a link that you can copy and paste into your browser, and that takes you to your survey. And we got a couple of questions coming in. Oh, awesome, Yvonne. Digital Educator Certification, way to go. Yeah, these resources would be able to be shared with pre-service teachers, absolutely.
So Smart Learning Suite Online has a free version for teachers. It has a limit to how much you can upload, but everything is there. And they can also look at some of the other stuff inside of on here. There is a whole, let me go back here. There's a explore resources. So there's a whole bunch of pieces in there that you can to look at. And you can also go out onto the Smart Exchange. There's several places where you can get things, but you can also sign up for a free account with Smart Learning Suite Online. Like I said, it's just limited in how much you can keep in the file because it's free. But that was a great question, Annie.
Okay, so we are just a couple minutes past the time. Thanks for sticking with us. We can hang on for a couple more minutes for extra questions, but thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you were able to access that resources link and give us some brief feedback with our survey and grab your certificate for participating. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. See, we got a few more questions here.
Tyrone, yes, it links perfectly with Google Classroom. When you make an assignment, you can put the link in. And if you're a Google person, Tyrone, if anything is in my drive, I can also just click on it and it'll turn it into SLSO itself. So if I am in my drive here, here's my notebook file that I was working on earlier. If I just right click on that, maybe it's not loading, hold on. It'll say open with Smart Learning Suite and it'll convert it right there inside a drive. So in the resource file we gave you, if you look, there's a Google resource, I think it was number 3, that'll show you all the things you can do with Google, including Google Classroom.
All right, so yeah, you definitely don't need a smartboard to use Smart Learning Suite online at all. No, you don't need a smartboard to be able to build a notebook. Yes, we have, if you click on that resource link, you'll be able to see number 3, how it integrates with Seesaw and Google and all the other things we love to use.
And Sherry, if you have problems in your own school, I'd start with your own tech department first and put in a work order there, because there's a process in every school of who those things go to. But you can always do on the Smart homepage, smarttech.com. There is a support there. So you can always ask there also, and they may be able to help you. So contact support, you can also try that. So there's 2 ways you can do that.
And again, thank you so much, everyone, for your awesome participation today. And thank you so much, Terry, for your expertise.
You are quite welcome. And literally, guys, if you need more, just reach out. I'll be glad to contact you and we can have a one-on-one conversation. So then it's just not Beth and I, we're good to go.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone.